It's NFL Draft Week, so why not do another episode of Pick Six, presented by KFAN, the show where we answer your questions. So, of course, the first topic is going to be NFL Draft related, and Hunter from Red Wing wanted to ask Vikings General Manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, what about last year's draft changed the way you're approaching this year? Can you share a story? Here's Kwesi's answer.
You know, I would say the thing that I'm not sure I appreciated as much last year is how much activity happens on draft day. You know, I tend to be a more planned, here are these scenarios types of things. And I think the draft days, there's just such a spontaneous element to it. And so there's a lot of different things you can do on draft day that you maybe weren't sure, could happen or whatever. But I think understanding the true liquidity of the market on that day is not something you'll ever appreciate until you actually do it. And that's something I've learned, and I'll make sure I adapt this year.
Thanks, Kwesi. Now, of course, the Vikings go on the clock with pick number 23 on Thursday night. He'll be making those decisions alongside Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell, who was asked this question. Danny from Annandale wants to ask KOC, how do you weigh position of need versus best player available heading into the draft? Here's what Coach had to say.
Danny, that's a great question. I think that's the number one thing that, as the draft kicks off and begins and that board starts to really kind of take shape as far as the players that will be available when you select, you're always trying to improve your team, which a lot of people end up believing it should be needs-based. Hey, what do we need to be a better version of the Minnesota Vikings? That's one question you gotta really weigh leading into the draft. But ultimately, the best teams in our league take the best player available at that particular time, and you got to trust the process that goes in from the scouts that go out on the road to the coaches and in-house people here who evaluate the tape. To the combine, to the players we bring in on visits. You build a complete picture of what you think not only the player is currently, but more importantly, what they can be reaching their potential in our league. And when you get a chance to turn in a card to select somebody in the NFL draft, you just better make sure that everybody in the organization is very confident that you're taking the best player available based upon that player's ceiling.
Appreciate the answer, Coach. On to question number 3, where Travis wants to ask last year's first-round draft pick, Lewis Seen, how do you think the hiring of Brian Flores as defensive coordinator can elevate your game? Let's hear Lewis's answer.
I think that's a great question. I think Brian Flores' hiring allows me to, just play loose, play fast, see ball, get ball, and I feel like that's my strength.
I'm also excited to see Lewis return this season from injury. You can find out more about his recovery at Vikings.com. On to question number 4 from Rita, and she wanted to ask Garrett Bradbury, does having consistency with line mates like Brian O'Neill and Ezra Cleveland impact your decision to return as opposed to a new system with new guys? We caught up with Garrett to get his take.
Hey, thanks for the question. I think continuity in the O-line is so important. The more reps, the more experience that you have with the guys that you play next to, the better as a unit you'll be. And we have a fun O-line room. We joke a lot, we hang out a lot, but we also compete and work hard and push each other a lot. And so, Brian, Ezra, Blake, Austin, all those guys, CD, it's Oli, they're all my best friends. We all hang out in the facility, outside the facility, and love going to work together with each other every day.
Thanks to Garrett, who is in the building for voluntary team activities. Another player in the building is KJ Osborne, and that's where question number 5 is headed. Thomas wanted to ask the Vikings wideout, how were you able to handle all the attention from saving a man from a burning car? How did it change your outlook on life? Take it away, KJ.
Getting all the attention from saving Nelson from the car was crazy, obviously. I wanted to make sure everybody was involved. I knew the story was going to be just about me, but, Arthur, Rita, Abdul, all of them were there as well. So, handling that attention, I just wanted to make sure that I stayed genuine. I really cared about Nelson and the other people that helped save him. Has it changed my outlook on life? Yes. Anything can happen on any day. So just be grateful for life, be grateful for your family, for your life that you have, and just try to be the best every day.
What a remarkable guy, and it just makes you respect him that much more. We're going to move on to our final question of the show, and it's from Amanda in Fargo. She wanted to ask this one: what kinds of content can we look forward to during NFL Draft Week? Well, Amanda, I figured I might be the person to take this one. We have so much going on this week, starting with Thursday night's Vikings draft party at US Bank Stadium, where with the Vikings go on the clock, you'll be hearing a lot of content from our usual cast of characters at KFAN, as well as Gabe and I's reactions to the pick. We also have a couple of shows planned, exclusive one-on-one interviews with the players. You'll hear from Kwesi and Coach, and that's just the first 3 days. So be sure to stick with Vikings Entertainment Network, Vikings.com, or the Vikings YouTube page for everything NFL Draft leading up to and throughout this big week we've got going on. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Pick 6. We'll see you in just a couple weeks.